It's the Amplified Q&A. It's a day late, but you're still going to get the same great show as you would have yesterday, because just like I always tell you guys, if you don't forget me, I won't forget you. Mega concert on Wednesday night, Madison Square Garden, Def Leppard, Journey, man. I blew my voice out because these are two bands I've listened to since I was a little motherfucking BC. In the I guess you could say the downside, the bad side of this concert was between the both bands, they played well over 30 songs. The problem is I knew every single lyric to every single song. You add a couple of brewskis in there and you surround yourself with good people, it's a fucking party. So yesterday the voice was totally shot. Today I'm getting it back much more. So a lot better today to do this video. I apologize. I thank you guys for understanding. But I had an amazing fucking time. So now, my favorite video of the week. It's called Amplified Q&A. You guys send in the questions during the week via social media over on Twitter or here on YouTube. And I get to answer most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. And it's a good chance for me to interact with my Amplified unit, which I always love to do. So, lots to do this weekend now because I am getting this video out on a Friday, so it's officially the kickoff of the weekend. I have a lot to do, so when don't I have a lot to do, though? So even if it's a random Wednesday, I got a lot to do, but an exceptional amount of work to be done this weekend, so I do have to get right into it. There's a lot of questions to get to. I want to talk about a lot of different topics because it seems this week you guys want to go all over the place. So let's do that. Let's start over on Twitter with Aaron. What's up, BC? Glad you enjoyed the concert and hope your voice gets better. But this is for Amplified Q&A. I was just wondering, even though you have Sasha Banks capturing the Money in the Bank this Sunday for the women, my question is, how would you book Becky Lynch going forward, starting on Sunday? So, with Becky Lynch, it's simple. I commented on this when I came back to YouTube after my 7-week hiatus, whatever it was. And I told you guys that once Becky Lynch defeated Charlotte last Tuesday, not this past, but last Tuesday, she tapped out Charlotte. I said that has to be the beginning of Becky Lynch's momentum swing. She's most likely not going to win Sunday at Money in the Bank, but that's okay. She doesn't need a W. She needs to keep that momentum going. You cannot just tap out Charlotte Flair on national TV one week, just fucking a week and a half ago, and then all of a sudden fall back into obscurity. Sunday at Money in the Bank, Becky Lynch has to pull out all the stops. Becky Lynch has to have a career-defining night, a career-defining match in that women's Money in the Bank ladder match. She really does. She has to take all the risks and all the chances that she's never taken before. She has to take Sunday. Now, Becky Lynch is not known as a high flyer. Becky Lynch isn't known for taking risks and chances necessarily. She's just known as a consummate professional, a dynamite wrestler from the ground game, and she can hit the ropes, so she's an all-around tuned wrestler. Nothing over-the-top flashy about Becky Lynch, and no moveset that is going to ooh and ah you. But if Becky Lynch can find it in her arsenal to dig deep and take the risks and chances she needs in that Money in the Bank ladder match, I think that's going to do leaps and bounds a lot for her career. Because Becky Lynch cannot go into this match and just be an obscure figure in that women's ladder match and just let Sasha Banks steal the spotlight, or Ember Moon steal the spotlight, or fucking imagine if Lana stole fucking spotlight somehow, which she probably is going to be a big talk of that match. They're probably going to do some comedic shit with her. You want to stand out. And right now, Becky Lynch is in that weird position where she might be one of the forgotten ones in that match. Becky Lynch needs to do things. She had all this week, few weeks now actually, but this week especially, to plan and think in her head what she wants to go to WWE Creative and Vince McMahon and say, listen, I would love to try this. I would love to do this. The Creative and Vince McMahon will work with her. If they think it is safe and approachable enough of an idea that they think is going to be safe enough that Becky Lynch won't necessarily get hurt, Becky Lynch can come up with some cool stuff, and I think she has the talent to pull it off. So to answer your question, I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, Aaron, but Becky Lynch needs to start Sunday, not by winning the match necessarily, but just captivating us, making us remember that she was in that match. Take a risk, take a chance, make us remember you. There's 8 women in that match. Aside from that match, Money in the Bank, aside from that, you have 2 championship women matches. Becky Lynch is in a real danger of us forgetting about her as a whole. Now, after Money in the Bank, you keep riding the momentum. You just tapped out Charlotte Flair last Tuesday night. Let her continue that. I'm not saying throw championships on her anytime soon, but give her one more shot. I feel her last title run was stale and rather boring. I think there's more in Becky Lynch. Let's see if her and creative can get on the same page. Hopefully that answered that, Aaron. But it starts Sunday. Becky Lynch needs to take it upon herself to say, I create my own destiny. I create my own path and my own career. And it starts Sunday, man. You come to Vince and creative with ideas, they will give you the time of day. They will listen to you. They might strike down some of your ideas. They might okay other ideas. Go to them. Think. That's what made the Steve Austins and the Rocks and the Triple H's and the Undertaker so great back in the day is they went to Vince, they went to creative, and they said, this is what we want to do. This is what I want to try. Now, granted, the wrestlers, the superstars had much more freedom back then, but they're still open to hear your ideas. Especially with this women's evolution really taking form, I think the women have a lot more input with creative than we might think. I just don't know if they're getting creative enough within themselves. I don't know if they're depending too much on creative to be creative for them. Becky Lynch needs to take her career back in her own hands. Her destiny lies within herself this Sunday. Candace, also on Twitter, BC, what do you say to all those stupid idiots that say Sasha Banks is overrated and she always wins? Or let's give other people a chance, like Alexa, Nia, Natty, Dana, Lana, and the list goes on and on. I mean, doesn't this make you amplified? Huge supporter of you. Thank you, Candace. It doesn't anger me. It never really angered me. It was kind of frustrating because I'm like, what are you watching? Because watching this product for 30 fucking plus years, Sasha Banks is a fucking gem, a diamond in the rough. And she continues to captivate me on a weekly basis. Every fucking day, if I could see Sasha Banks at all the live events, she would captivate me. So I never really understood what people were watching until I just came to realize, Candace, some people just don't like you. You could be the best in the world at what you do. Some people are not going to like you. You could be the worst. Some people are going to like you. It's all preference. It's all taste. Right? I honestly feel I'm the most knowledgeable motherfucking wrestling fan. And at times even insider on YouTube, on this platform. But some people don't like me. Some people might think I'm too egotistical, too much of a narcissist, too much like my shit don't stink and I'm too full of it. Other people fucking love my shit, right? A lot of you guys fucking, we just click. And you're the fucking amplified unit, man. You are my motherfucking people. My extended family. Other people might be stupid as fuck, but people might follow them, like them. Everyone has a preference is where I'm going with this. So once I really sat back and said, you know what? It's just Sasha. They just don't like her, and they're gonna come. When you don't like somebody, you'll come up with excuses/reasons to tell yourself why you don't like them. And why you should continue not liking them. For Sasha Banks, it's easy to say she botches. Because Sasha Banks, like I was saying about Becky Lynch earlier, Sasha doesn't have that problem with taking risks and chances. Sasha Banks is known for taking risks and chances. And when you do that, you are putting yourself at risks and chances for failure. When you take a risk and a chance, you're putting yourself out there for failure. And sometimes the move might not come out as crisp as you would want it. That doesn't necessarily make it a botch. When I think botches, I'm thinking, what did you do to your fellow superstar that put them in danger? That's a botch that I call out. Sasha Banks does not fucking do that. You put out the fucking Paige thing when she kicked her in the back. That is a kick in the back that any normal superstar would have been just fine with. Paige had back issues from the beginning, and then people just want to dig on further and go, okay, well, if she had back issues, wasn't Sasha supposed to be extra careful? Do you think Sasha goes into every match knowing every fucking ailment and where and what to do for every superstar that has an ailment? Do you think Paige goes to Sasha or anyone else before every single match at live events even and says, don't forget, guys, I have a back issue, but I'm going to be a pro wrestler and make you the fucking bad guy if something goes wrong? But people blame Sasha Banks for that whole Paige incident. The kick was a little too stiff. She should have known Paige had a back issue. You watched that kick a million fucking times. It was a kick to the fucking middle of the back, exactly where it should have been. And it was a push-off kick. Perfect. The only problem was there was a woman in there that should not have been. She has neck and back issues. It was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode, and when it did, everyone blamed the person in the ring. Happens to be Sasha fucking Banks. So, it's not an angry or a frustrated issue anymore, Candace. It's just, it's laughable at this point. It's not just the botches like you said. What was it? Oh, Overrated. There's a funny one. Overrated. She's not even fucking rated. Not even a blimp on WWE's radar so far. You think you saw the best of Sasha? You think she's overrated right now? If I was booking this shit, Sasha Banks is a 10-year champion. Because Candace also goes on to say in the people that say everybody should get a chance, like Alexa, Nia, Natty, Dana, Lana, the list goes on and on. I would have Sasha Banks as the women's champion on Raw for 10 years straight until she wants to fucking retire, then she drops it. That's what I would fucking do. Fuck everybody gets a chance. Now, obviously, I'm over-exaggerating. Obviously, she wouldn't hold it for 10 fucking years. At some point, you have to have people win the championship. My point is, guys, there's no reason Sasha shouldn't have held the championship for at least a year straight. There's no reason. She's that fucking good. Whether you hate her or not, you can fucking admit it. She's that fucking good. And it does seem like everyone else that Natty held the SmackDown Championship longer than all 4 of Sasha Banks' title reigns. What does that tell you? Becky Lynch? Who else you want to fucking name? Alexa Bliss had it fucking 2-3 times longer than Sasha Banks. And Sasha Banks is the better fucking wrestler. You know, it's in the eye of the beholder. I always say that. We're going to like who we're going to like. We're going to love who we're going to love. We're going to hate who we're going to hate. We're going to not like who we're not going to like. But you cannot let that distort facts. You cannot let that distort the realization that Sasha Banks is just one of the best ever female wrestlers in this industry. In my opinion, the best. Again, sorry for the long-winded answer, Candace. But, it amplified it gets me. Not angry or frustrated anymore. It's laughable. But amplified because people do need to decipher. It's okay not to like somebody. It's okay to come up with reasons and excuses why you don't like them. But if it's a fact, you can't just throw that away. You know what I mean? Like Sasha Banks is no good. She's overrated. She botches. She's not entertaining. Come on now, man. Come on. When she's in that ring, fans are into it. Fans are standing on their feet. Fans are reacting. Much more than a lot of other matches that I see females putting in. Just saying, the facts are there. Look at the crowd. Look at merchandise sales. Most importantly, just look at Sasha Banks. Aki over on Twitter, I believe. BC, what's your thoughts on WWE calling the Nia Jax vs. Ronda Rousey match the biggest match in the women's division's history? Personally, I think it's disrespectful considering these two women haven't really done much in WWE. So, it's a couple of different things here, Aki. What's your thoughts on WWE calling Nia Jax, Ronda Rousey, what's the exact thing? It's the biggest match in women's division's history, right? I have no problem with that. That's what they're supposed to do. They're a big conglomerate company. They're trying to sell a huge match for one of their big pay-per-views. I see no problem in this. Nia Jax is a beast of a character, man. And if she, her Her character could be more better and more of a beast, but the presence of Nia Jax, I guess I should say, is the beast. And if they booked her up correctly the last 2 fucking years, last year and a half, taking on Ronda Rousey, it would have been one of the biggest matches in WWE's women's division's history. It absolutely would have been. Problem is, they did not book up Nia Jax properly. She just won the title at the last pay-per-view, correct? 2 pay-per-views ago. What the fuck was it? Well, she just recently won it. So that's the point. And now all of a sudden, it looks like she's on the brink of losing it to Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, on the other hand, she is that big conglomerate superstar, right? Coming from UFC, some would say the baddest woman ever to compete in UFC, and she's the first ever UFC woman to go into the Hall of Fame for UFC. So she is a conglomerate star. So this could have been, and I think WWE knows they fucked up, but they're still going to market it as such. I'm okay with that. Again, Nia Jax is a beast of a presence. Ronda Rousey is the motherfucking presence. When they collide, it is going to be something to see. I'm not going to lie. So I am okay with that, actually. Yeah, if it was another person staring at Ronda Rousey and they were calling it the biggest match in the women's history for their division, I might have an issue with it. Nia Jax, they failed to book her properly. That's why there's no probably. They failed to book her properly is what I wanted to say. And because of that, it leaves more to be desired. But we know what Nia Jax could have been and should be. And because of that, I'm okay with them building this matchup to be something epic. Gino, also on Twitter, BC for Q&A. Do you think the Styles-Nakamura feud ends at Money in the Bank, or will it get stretched out until SummerSlam? I hope not, Gino. This has to be it. I'm liking Styles versus Nakamura. I think it's getting better and better because the start of it at WrestleMania left so much more to be desired, to the point where I did not like it, actually. I just didn't. And then it started getting better and better, and now we're at a last man standing match between Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles. Just to let that sink in, right? I think some people are kind of sleeping on this because they're oversaturated with these two the past 4 or 5 months, if not more. But I'm not. I know what Nakamura and AJ Styles not only bring to the table, but bring to the table to each other. And it's badass, and I think this is going to be their best match out of all of them. Again, I'm excluding New Japan Pro Wrestling, because again, that's 2 different entities. You can't compare WWE and New Japan. But as far as the WWE matches between the two, this is most likely going to be their best yet. And I don't want to see this get stretched out to SummerSlam, because then you have Extreme Rules next month. Then you have to wait 2 months to get over to SummerSlam. I think then we are going to be oversaturated. Too much Nakamura Styles. And that would be simplistic booking for WWE. What do you want to do with Styles, our WWE champion? Just put him in a half-a-year feud with one guy, Nakamura. Easy booking for AJ Styles, but I don't want to see this go past Money in the Bank. It has to end here. One man left standing. And I think that's the way to... I think that's the only way to do this. Otherwise, we're dragging it out way too much. And I'm a big fan, you guys know this, of long feuds. That's why I'm happy. This started back at WrestleMania, and we still got this kicking into June. I love long feuds. It builds up the story. It builds up the anticipation. But there's also a time to end it. And I just feel like this is the right time. Anything longer might be going into oversaturation. Also on Twitter, we have Chanel. What's up, Chanel? Please tell me this ain't true, BC. I heard today that James Ellsworth is returning to WWE at or after Money in the Bank. Chanel, brace yourself for impact. I'm hearing this is absolutely truth. James Ellsworth will be showing up at Money in the Bank from what I'm hearing. To confirm this a little bit more, in the last 12 hours, I think it was, 24 hours especially, I think it was the last 12 hours, something like that. Middle Kingdom Wrestling in China. This is where James Ellsworth originally had an independent show to do over in China. And this was the weekend of, and in fact, there wasn't even a date on the 17th, which is Money in the Bank in Chicago. James Ellsworth was supposed to be in China. Again, that was Middle Kingdom Wrestling, I believe it's called. And James Ellsworth pulled out of that appearance. So James Ellsworth has officially pulled out of that weekend's dates, and this was in fucking China. You just don't skip that unless you have a huge reason why. A WWE appearance at Money in the Bank seems to be that reason. I don't like the way he did it either. Middle Kingdom Wrestling in China released a statement saying how James Ellsworth was beyond unprofessional on how he handled getting out of that show. Apparently, they tried to contact him for 6 days leading up to this announcement. 6 days to get final travel arrangements for Ellsworth. Ellsworth did not respond to them until the last minute where he finally said, oh, by the way, I'm pulling out. So, Middle Kingdom Wrestling basically called out his professionalism. That is not the way you do business in this industry. James Ellsworth, we all can agree if WWE comes to calling, okay, maybe you cancel and you go over there, but you do it the right way. For 6 days, they were trying to contact you, and you don't offer a reasoning why you're not getting back to them. They're trying to make travel arrangements for an agreement that you guys had. That is unprofessional. That is bullshit. And I didn't give a fuck about James Ellsworth the first time in WWE. And I don't give a fuck about James Ellsworth now in WWE. And if this comes out to be true and James Ellsworth stiffed Middle Kingdom Wrestling in China for WWE, a stiff job. And again, I'm okay with him going to WWE instead of Middle Kingdom, but you do it the right way. The second you know that it's coming, you tell them. Even if it's a possibility, you let them know. If this is true and you stiffed over there in China, Middle Kingdom Wrestling, James Ellsworth, you, my friend, deserve one huge IBS, an internet fucking bitch slap. Anyway, we went off a little off track there. Starting to get my voice back, and it's going to be blown by the end of this video, man. But Chanel, that does seem to be true, man. James Ellsworth has officially pulled out, finally, of that China show, unprofessionally as it may be, because he says he has some huge thing to do that weekend. That weekend happens to be WWE's Money in the Bank. I see him interfering in that ladder match, or in the Asuka Carmella match, where he helps Carmella keep that championship. That could be the reason Asuka tapped out Carmella this weekend, or this past Tuesday on SmackDown. Carmella tapped out to Asuka. That leads us to think that Carmella's going to actually win this match Sunday. This could be how they do it. Ellsworth helps interfere, and they reunite the two. They could also do a comedy thing, where Ellsworth shows up in the Money in the Bank ladder match and tries to retrieve the briefcase for maybe somebody else. Maybe he becomes a valet for somebody new. Maybe Becky Lynch does win this motherfucker through the help of fucking James Ellsworth. She becomes a heel, and she's united with James Ellsworth. Who the fuck knows, man? That's why they run the show, and that's why it's going to be exciting to see. I'm not too excited to necessarily see James fucking Ellsworth back on my WWE TV. But it does look to be true. Chanel. F. Parisi 86 BC. Could we see Brock versus Seth at SummerSlam and Seth holds both titles like they did it back in 2015 and it was awesome? I do agree. That would be cool. Seth Rollins would be one of those guys that would look great with 2 fucking championships. He's not an over-the-top, larger-than-life superstar, but in WWE right now, he's hugely popular, definitely over, and he is a bona fide superstar. So if anybody to hold 2 titles, if anybody to beat Brock Lesnar and I'm going to be okay with it, realistically, Seth Rollins would be the fucking guy. I mean, in that triple threat match at WrestleMania 31, he went and did the deed against Roman and Brock. Yes, it was at the end of the match. Yes, it was an impromptu triple threat, but he was the one who walked out with that strap. It would be really cool to see him with 2 championships. But I also think Elias capturing that IC strap this Sunday at Money in the Bank in Chicago would also be legit badass. So I'm okay either one, but I realistically do think Seth is okay beating Brock. I'd definitely be okay with that. And him with 2 fucking championships. It's been a long while since we saw the guy with 2 championships. You mentioned 2015, but I'm even thinking before that. Chris Jericho, when they merged the 2 championships. He was the undisputed champion, but he held the 2 fucking straps for the longest. I miss seeing that. I miss seeing just a dude with all the fucking gold around him. You know, I would love to see one day just a tag strap, an IC strap, a heavyweight strap, all on one motherfucker. Like, then you are creating a larger-than-life fucking superstar. That'd be badass. Jen, what do you think Punk will do now? I wouldn't mind seeing him in New Japan Pro Wrestling, honestly. I think that would be great. I think Punk, first of all, just needs to stay at home for a while with his wife, AJ, with his dog, Larry. I always want to say Lenny. Larry. And, just take a little family vacation, unwind, relax. He's big on his 4 or 5 close friends. We'll go hang out with them and just enjoy life. Enjoy the money that you've made in this career, these careers that you have chosen, the money that you made in this lifetime, the friends and the wife that you have around you. Enjoy them. Forget about all the fucking shit that's being said on social media, videos that are being made, the videos that I made, right? Just saying facts, telling the truth. I wouldn't even watch them if I'm CM Punk because I just want to just get it all out of my mind and get some clarity. And then when the time is right, again, I personally would be all in September. I think September is a perfect time to show up, say hello to your fan base that made you CM Punk, your wrestling fan base at All In. Say hello, maybe drop a fucking GTS, and that's it. You don't got to sign no contracts. And then maybe next year, do a little something with Ring of Honor. Do a little something with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Nothing long term. That's what I would personally do. And if this is it for CM Punk, he really wants to put wrestling behind him, a goodbye tour. You know what I mean? Just one last storyline in an ROH or a fucking New Japan, something like that. One last nice storyline, a couple matches. A goodbye to the fans, a thank you to the fans, and a way for the fans to say thank you to CM Punk. And again, in a few years, I absolutely expect to see CM Punk in the WWE, even if it's just a Hall of Fame. Vince, Triple H, and all them, they are willing to put bygones aside for the better of the business. If it means bringing in that marquee name, they'll do it. We've seen it with Bruno Sammartino. We've seen it with fucking The Ultimate Warrior, with Randy Savage, even though that was fucking too late and Savage was already gone at the time. They put it aside. They did the right thing. They put him into the Hall of Fame. Eventually, Punk will come back to the WWE for something, even if it's a one-night thing. But that's going to be years down the road because there is a healing process that has to begin. And I think I don't even know if it started yet. But Punk definitely has to come back to pro wrestling. Yes, I said has to. There's no question. Because, like it or not, whether you care what people think or not, right? That's a popular thing to say. I don't care what anyone thinks. Punk doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks. But this is a career that you've spent your whole life building. Pro wrestling, or if you want to call yourself a UFC fighter, whatever you want to call yourself. It's a career that you've built. End it the right way. You can't go out with your legacy in shambles. Because it really is right now, man. Come back, say hello to your fans. That's all a lot of them want to say. They just want to see you in a ring to say fucking what's up. Even if you don't hit a GTS or come back for a match, come back in the middle of the ring and say what's up in our world. When you entered UFC, it's like you thought you were better than pro wrestling. We're just that fake sport now. We're the fake place. We're the phony place. We're more than that, man. We made you fucking who you are so you could live your dream. If WWE fans didn't make you CM Punk and put your name on that pedestal, you wouldn't have gotten onto the fucking UFC main card. Your dream would have never came true. We helped get you there. At least you can admit we helped get you there. And then you just fucking brush your fan base aside. Amazing, man. It's just mind-boggling how somebody can, just because they think they've had enough with it, they just push everything to the side. They act like it never happened. They fucking throw shade where they used to work. The place that made them. They throw shade at it, they go elsewhere, and then they make that place look like it's below you. You know damn well if CM Punk was winning UFC fights, his MMA fan base would mean much more to him than his wrestling fan base. He would totally shit on his wrestling fan base way more than he does his MMA fan base. He just never got the opportunity to do such. So after his last loss, he put in capital letters, thanks to my fans. Yeah. Now your pro wrestling fans mean everything, don't they? Again, I said it a million times. I see through CM Punk's bullshit, and I hope he corrects that. I hope in this time off he sees what truly should matter to him. And just because you have a beef with WWE doesn't mean you gotta fucking shit on everything else pro wrestling. Sorry, Jen, that was long-winded, but we talked a lot of CM Punk within the last 10 days, and that's a nice little tidbit to cap it all off. No more CM Punk talk, hopefully, after that. Over on YouTube, J Football Live. Hey, BC, this isn't a pro wrestling related question, but I wanted to know what you think of a... Oh, we're going UFC, all right. What you think of Khabib Nurmagomedov... I always love saying this. Nurmagomedov. He's a UFC fighter, guys, who's 26-0. He's legit badass. Khabib is his first name. Don't worry about saying his last name. And he's taking on, what do I think about Khabib taking on Conor McGregor in a fight down the line in UFC? Much love and respect. Much love and respect back to you, J Football Live. As far as Khabib versus Conor down the line, this is, I think we all, for anybody who watches UFC, I think we all can admit this is something that we've wanted to see since, 2015? Then after Conor McGregor threw that thing through the fucking bus that was carrying Khabib and his people, then we really wanted to see that shit, but then obviously the courts and the law stepped in. But this is a guy who's 26-0, Khabib. And then you have Conor McGregor, who is, I believe, 21-3. So they're close. And you watch them in the octagon, and they're fucking close. That's going to be a badass fucking brawl, guys. Unfortunately, it looks like Khabib's next person would be St. Pierre at 155. Right? 155 pounds is where Khabib would go for St. Pierre. That looks to be his next fight. At least that's what his management is coming out and saying. So it doesn't look like Conor is going to be the next fight, unfortunately. And that sucks. This is almost getting like Mayweather and Pacquiao. For the longest time, we wanted to see it, and for some reason, both sides could not come to an agreement. Finally, it happened, but by that point, a lot of people just kind of tuned off to it. I hope that doesn't happen with these two. I want to see it within the next year. That would be great. But it looks like if it does happen, it's going to be a couple years down the line when the heat really starts to settle down. That sucks. Khabib did say that the only reason he wants to fight Conor has nothing to do with money. He wants to discipline him. And he wants to make him pay for what he did. Fucking... Those are some telling words, man. Khabib wants to go in there and smash Conor in the fucking mouth. That would be a brawl. As far as who do I think would take it, I don't think a lot of people, we haven't seen any yet, 26-0, he's undefeated. I don't think anyone's taken out Khabib. He's fucking that badass. He's that legit in the octagon. As good as Conor is, I have Khabib taking this 27-0. It's just the way it is. But it looks like St. Pierre will be next for Khabib. Good little UFC question there, though. Thank you, J Football. M Jackson 17. Hey BC, who do you think is the GOAT, the GOAT, aka the greatest of all time? In my opinion, it's Shawn Michaels, without a doubt. Would you agree? There's no question I would agree. Shawn Michaels is... He'll always be the best in my lifetime because it was a different era, too, where you didn't have all the athleticism you necessarily have today. And you have that type of athleticism today because of all the grounds that have been caught up to in the medical profession, the training room, in the gym, training and conditioning. Everything is so... They're basically coming out of the womb. The second people are born, they're super athletes these days. You have creations like LeBron James. But you think about people like Michael Jordan. In his prime, that was at a time where there was no basketball player to that skill level. It was unseen before. That's how good he was at a time where the training and the conditioning and the advancements and medically and all that shit, when you have an injury, the recuperation, any little thing was so much more... It was not advanced. I'll just say that. It wasn't as advanced as it was today. Because I don't want to shit on it. I mean, the medical professional, everybody was doing the best, right? The training and the conditioning was the best that it could be. Nowhere near what it is today. And Michael Jordan was that fucking good. Could you imagine Michael Jordan today? I can't even fathom the greatness that would be added on to Michael Jordan's game if he was around today. That's why I say Jordan over LeBron. That's the only reason. Everybody's different. A lot of people say LeBron over Jordan. Some people say Jordan over LeBron. There's no right or wrong. It's all about what is your reasoning. A lot of people like to go to statistics. A lot of people go to what they're just watching. For me, I'm thinking about where we are training condition-wise and why athletes today seem to be super athletes, and they weren't super athletes years ago. And it has a lot to do with the medical advancements, the training and the conditioning and how they're being conditioned. And these athletes today, I mean, if you took Michael Jordan, took him out of that era, put him in this era, in his prime, I personally think Michael Jordan, I couldn't even fathom how great this motherfucker would be. My point is this, guys. Shawn Michaels, same deal. He was so much leaps and bounds better than every motherfucker back in that day that if you put him in his prime with the training conditioning today, with today's superstars and having the matches today with like Johnny Gargano, with AJ Styles, with Daniel Bryan, I can go on, with fucking Ricochet. Shawn Michaels, nobody would be able to light a candle to this motherfucker today. That's why I say Shawn Michaels will forever be, because I don't just put him in his era as the best, but I try to put him if he was in today's era and it was his prime and he was trained and conditioned just like everybody else. A super athlete doesn't even begin to do justice for the names that we would be saying for Shawn Michaels and his skill level, because it would be fucking beyond a super athlete. Shawn Michaels is just fucking heads and shoulders above everyone else. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, you say Shawn Michaels, would I agree? There's no question I would agree. And I answered this before in another Q&A too, that it was Shawn Michaels. That answer will never change, ever, because I'm not just looking at different era, I'm putting him in this era too. Not only could that Shawn Michaels compete with these wrestlers today, toe-to-toe, move for move, skill for skill, but I'm saying if you put him in his prime and he was trained and conditioned just like everybody else, that's what scares me about how good this motherfucker would be. Shawn Michaels would be even better than he ever was today. Scary to think about, right? In a good way. Midnight Walker, what are your thoughts on Daniel Bryan saying he could beat Mike Jackson? That's the guy who just beat CM Punk, UFC 225. I totally agree with Daniel Bryan. No question at all. I think that's why I say to you guys, you either have it or you don't. In pro wrestling, same with UFC. You either can fight or you can't. Daniel Bryan is just, you can tell he would be great in that octagon because he's very, very impactful and intuitive to what he is doing. There is not a wasted motion in Daniel Bryan. You ever see Daniel Bryan training? Everything he does is he's so aware of where he's going with his next movements. He's so conscious of where he's at and what he's about to do. And that's how he would be in UFC. And then you add on top of that he actually has skill. This guy loves to fucking grapple. And I feel like if it's a chess match, you're going to lose against Daniel Bryan. So somebody like Mike Jackson with his skill level, I think Daniel Bryan would have went in there and actually not only put on obviously a better fight than CM Punk, Daniel Bryan would have beaten Mike Jackson. I totally believe that. Wholeheartedly. Up next, we want to go to Verchase Danny. Hey, BC, I wanted to know what are your thoughts on Matt Riddle? He's one of the many professional wrestlers that I'm following outside of WWE, and I would like to see him in WWE one day. Thanks in advance for answering. Love from India. Much love right back to you, man. As far as Matt Riddle, that's the king of bros is what they call this guy on the indie scene. He's the ultimate bro, coming out in flip-flops. He's like that surfer dude, you know? That's the character he kind of like gives off to me. Obviously a good wrestler. There's no doubt about it. If you're talking indies and people that, if NXT is truly what it says it is, developmental promotion, then Matt Riddle absolutely 110% belongs there over at least 15 to 20 guys that are there right now, actually. So that's what I think about him. The problem, though, with Matt Riddle, Verchase, is he openly admits this. He likes marijuana too much. He likes to smoke. It's the same problem with Rob Van Dam, where that actually that affected his WWE career. A lot of Rob Van Dam's problem with WWE was that he didn't want to give up smoking marijuana. So that's the same thing with kind of Matt Riddle. Is he willing to honestly put that aside, stop, and give WWE his full? If he's willing to do that, then he'll be successful. He'll at least get into WWE, even if it's NXT. But he already showed that he's willing to squander careers for marijuana. He was a UFC fighter. I believe his record was like 8-3, wasn't it? That's not bad at all. He had a career going. And he failed 2 fucking tests. I believe both were marijuana. So he said, like, you know, I would have injuries, and yeah, they would prescribe you all these pills. I didn't like pills, but I really liked to smoke weed. That was my thing. So we understand that. A lot of people think, hey, no harm, no foul. It's a little bit of weed. What the fuck? That should be allowed, this and that. No matter how you believe it, UFC has a rule. You can't do it. He didn't just fail once. He failed it twice, and he put his career on the line, and it did not work out for him. He got kicked out of the UFC. So he squandered a career in the UFC for fucking marijuana. What makes WWE think he won't do the same to them? So does WWE put the machine behind a person who they think is just going to fail them in the long run? That's a real problem that is facing Matt Riddle. And it's, you know, I'm just being honest with you. That's the issue. Because everything else screams he should already be in NXT at least. The guy had an amazing 2017, and 2018 is looking to be only better. Time will tell. You know, time will tell. But I think WWE would seriously look at that UFC situation like, wow, you squandered that just to fucking smoke? Just reminds me of a Rob Van Dam all over again. Paul. What is this? YouTube, I believe. Paul over on YouTube as well. BC, I heard Hulk Hogan on an interview a couple of days ago. He said it's a matter of time and place, but he will be back in WWE. When would you bring him back, and would you have him on Raw or SmackDown? You're the best, BC. Big thanks, Paul. You're the best, man. All my amplified unit. We do this shit together. You know that. As far as Hulk Hogan, I would have him come back. Let's get him back soon, man. Money in the Bank would be cool in Chicago. That would be one fucking hell of a pop. I could do that, or I could do SummerSlam. Extreme Rules, not the fit for Hulk Hogan, but I would bring him back immediately. Sunday or over at SummerSlam, you wait 2 months. So it's Sunday or SummerSlam. But I would bring him back. He's raring to go. He apologized for all of his bullshit. I think it's time, man. Give him a fucking shot back. The guy's been through hell times 10 over the last 10 years. Just, you know, reconnection, man. It's time for Hulk Hogan to come home. And what I would do is a President Jack Tunney type thing. I don't want to see him as a week-to-week general manager. We tried that before. I'm kind of over the old wrestlers coming into general manager type thing. I think they found a gem in Kurt Angle, and they found a gem in Paige. If she stops repeating what wrestlers want her to do and then say, no, I'm not going to do it, and then she does it anyway, like she's been doing the past couple weeks. They're trying to make her, or she is becoming a fool. But Paige is good in that role. She just has to make more sense. Kurt Angle and Paige, I like. We have to leave it at that because there has been so many ex-wrestlers that turned into the general manager role that just, it's cringeworthy to watch them cut a promo. I'm over that. And I think we've already seen that with Hulk Hogan. There's no more Hulk Hogan could do in a general manager role. And you're going to wear him out if we see him every week. He should be in the Jack Tunney role, the old president of WWE back in those 80s. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you gotta Google and research Jack Tunney and watch some of his old segments. He was an older dude, he was the president. So even though we knew Vince McMahon ran WWE behind the scenes, he was the owner of the company, President Tunney was the on-air final judgment call for everything. He was the president. So you bring back Hulk Hogan, only it's amplified. It's Jack Tunney but amplified. And he doesn't wear a suit and a fucking tie. He's coming up dressed as Hulk Hogan. And when he shows up to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, right? This is a way you can use him on either or both. And at pay-per-views, when he shows up, you know it's something big is happening. Or he's making a huge decision. And a couple of times that in the calendar year, you could have him get physical. He ain't going to bounce off the ropes. He's not 25 anymore, okay? But you can have him throw up the fucking big boot and toss somebody out of the ring. Draw those huge pops. President Hulk Hogan, man, of WWE. So you could still have your general manager, you could have a commissioner, you could have a fucking constable. Whatever the fuck that is for Baron Corbin. But the ultimate say in the industry, no longer is Vince McMahon needs to be in that role. You put it as the President Hulk Hogan. He does not show up every week, and when he does show up, something big's going to happen. And that way, by keeping him off TV several weeks at a time, too, when he shows up, it's more special. The pop is going to be fucking electric. Anyway, sorry if that was long-winded, but I get excited when I'm booking this shit, man. If I'm booking Hulk Hogan, I bring him back as the president, man. That'd be fucking awesome. We haven't had a president of WWE since Jack Tunney, and back in my day, I loved President Jack Tunney. Good question over there, Paul, man. That's got me thinking. Hopefully when Hogan comes back, they do the right thing and they do put him in a position that's going to make him look good, the company look good, and the fans just getting amplified. Because Hulk Hogan definitely deserves that. Hub City Finest, ABC. I hope this makes amp Q&A. Do you own any WWE DVDs? And what past WWE wrestler would you love to see come back at some point? First of all, I owned every fucking DVD that WWE came out with because back in the day, we didn't have the network, right? So you had to go and get DVDs, man. I'll take it a step further. I'll age myself a little bit here. I have all of the VHS tapes. So before DVDs, yes, the younger fans out there, if you were born after 2000, you might not even know what a fucking VHS is. But guess what? That's what old-timers like myself, we had to watch our favorite wrestling pay-per-views on those motherfuckers. We would go to a place that was called Blockbuster Video. That's right. You probably don't know what that is either. But we would go to Blockbuster Video and we would either rent it or we'd buy it. But I used to have all the VHSs, all the DVDs. I won't name any because, again, it was literally just about all of them. Then I got smart and I said, fuck, network is the place to be, man. So you guys have it easy today. If you want to watch all the pay-per-views and just anything WWE, you just got to buy the network. $10 a month. Back in the day, we had to hunt down those VHSs and those DVDs. But I do have them all, Hub City. And also, second part of your question, what wrestler would you love to see come back at some point from the past? I'm going to go with the women on this because I think I've spoke about some of the male talent that I would like to see come back. Trish Stratus. Not necessarily full-time, but one more good run, right? A 6-month run, just a couple of feuds in there. I would really love to see Trish Stratus versus Sasha Banks, for instance, and a Charlotte versus Trish Stratus. Matches like that just appeal to me. And during that 6 months, while you're building up the feud for Sasha and Charlotte, you could have her take on, like, Becky Lynch and have her take on, like, a Mickie James. You know what I mean? Like, rekindle that feud. Like, you could do so many things if you just had 6 months with Trish Stratus. And I would really love to see that. And I know I'm cross-instituting the wrestlers, right? Mickie James is on one brand. Becky's on another brand. Charlotte's on one brand. Sasha's. How is Trish going to fight all of them? I would come up with a fucking way, trust me. Because if I'm able to sign Trish Stratus for 6 months, I'm coming up with a fucking way to have Trish Stratus fight all of my fucking female wrestlers, man. She'll win some, she'll lose some, but I think fans would get a great kick out of seeing Trish in there with today's talent because judging by what I saw at Royal Rumble, and I knew this anyway, Trish Stratus can still go with all of today's elite in that women's division. Julianne, BC, do you think Vince put Roman in a feud with Jinder just so people can start cheering for Roman, knowing that Jinder gets just as much booze as Roman? Actually, Julian, I would say Roman gets more booze than Jinder. I feel, and I'm a Jinder Mahal fan, but I will say that I think a lot more people just don't care about Jinder as much as they really just despise Roman. So I think Roman actually gets more booze. I'm not saying it's justified or not. I'm not going to get into Roman haters versus Roman lovers. Whatever side of the fence you're on, that's cool. But I do think that Vince is using, he refuses to give up on this Roman thing. He refuses. We've seen this time and time again where he's catapulted into the main event and in title picture. He doesn't get the response that he thought he was going to get from the fans, so then he brings him back down into the mid-card. And he'll win this Sunday against Jinder, right? So now he wants you to think that he's not being shoved down anyone's throat. Look at him. See, he's in the mid-card now. He's not even a main event. And then all of a sudden, by SummerSlam, he'll be right back in the main event against Brock, probably taking the strap. So Vince has tried this before. He's trying to show you that he's not shoving Roman down anybody's throat. So this is exactly what it is. It's not necessarily to get him more cheers. It's necessarily to show people that the company isn't backing Roman. What are you talking about? Money in the Bank's a big pay-per-view, and he's in the mid-card against Jinder Mahal, see? It's Vince trying to play with us. The problem is he's tried this before. Fans are too smart for that bullshit. It's not going to work. In fact, the reaction might be lackluster because it's these two taking on each other one-on-one. Remains to be seen. Michael, hey BC, love the shows and glad you're back. My question for Q&A would be a good opponent. Oh, I'm skipping here, man. My question for Q&A is, other than Roman or Seth, who would be a good opponent to take the title off Brock? Much love and respect. Back at you, Michael. Daniel Bryan. If you're not going to do the Roman thing, which is what the company wants, if you're not going to do Seth Rollins, which is what the fans want, Daniel fucking Bryan. I said it from day one, even when he was still out, retired with WWE. Daniel Bryan versus Brock is the true real-life David versus Goliath storyline. And Daniel Bryan is a guy, even though that size and stature, he is actually a guy who I would believe, realistically, would beat Brock Lesnar. Because not only does he have that heart that everyone says CM Punk had in UFC, right? That's the only thing he had going for him, heart. Well, not only does Bryan have that, but Bryan actually has skills to back up his shit in the pro wrestling ring. So I believe that he would literally wear out Brock Lesnar and overcome the odds. And it's believable storytelling because at WrestleMania 30, down in New Orleans, when Daniel Bryan captured the strap, remember, first, the deck was stacked against him. He first had to beat Triple H earlier in the night. He did that. To earn a way, he had to beat Triple H in the same night to earn his way into a triple threat. So not only does he beat Triple H earlier in the night, but then he goes in against Randy Orton and fucking Batista, and he's got to beat two more people. In one night, he beat Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista to become champion. Feel good story. That was like David versus a Goliath, right? Three separate people coming together as one with Stephanie McMahon on the outside, and he not only defeated them, but he overcame the odds, is the best way to say it, right? And I think this would be one of those just awe-inspiring moments. Daniel Bryan versus Brock. It would almost be like Daniel Bryan versus the WWE. Remember the whole corporate standoff in the Yes Movement? Because it was it was Daniel Bryan versus the WWE Machine. Well, this would be Daniel Bryan versus the WWE Machine in a way. Daniel Bryan versus the Ultimate Goliath, Brock. The fans would be so much behind Daniel Bryan. And the fact that Brock Lesnar got this longest reigning heavyweight championship reign recently from CM Punk, 434 days plus. People are pissed off about that. People are pissed off that Brock doesn't defend the championship enough. They want to see that title off of Brock. And here comes Daniel Bryan, short in size and stature, but large in heart and skills. And he goes into that ring and he somehow finds a way to capture that strap. The roof would be blown off of anywhere that they are in this country or around the world. If there's a roof, it's going to be blown the fuck off. That's who I would have, Daniel Bryan. Avante, BC, I thought Lana was a heel. What do you think about her being a face Tuesday on SmackDown? That was the big 10-woman tag match they had, and it was basically faces versus heels. Lana was the only real one on the face team that was a heel. But isn't that WWE's kind of MO lately? That's the way they book. They don't really do faces and heels anymore. They don't give a fuck about that anymore. And that's sad because when you have faces and heels, it's the good guy versus the bad guy. That's the most simplistic but most awesome storytelling you can tell. From the dawning of the fucking Ice Age and before to where we are now, a good guy and a bad guy. You need those elements. Vince just wants to blur the lines on everything. That's why we see Big Show, Kane, Nia Jax turning from face to heel every other week. It makes for shitty storytelling, man. I can't believe what I'm viewing, I don't even know what I'm viewing half the time with some of these superstars because they're flip-flopping every week. Now we're supposed to be, Lana's just dancing with everybody afterward. I have no fucking idea. But not happy about it, to be honest with you, Avante. Kara, how is the movie going and what channel will it be on? Movie Tyler's Day 30. We're still kicking ass on it. It's a long way to go, as I said. We don't have we have several more scenes to film, but they're going to be the last scenes. But we don't have a scene in planning to be shot for another couple of weeks. We have to take a little hiatus. Look at what we captured, see where we went wrong, see what needs to be redone, and see if we need to add more stuff. It's a process. And then we go into editing, final looks, and then distribution. So it's going to be a long way off, Kara. As far as what channel will it be on, well, hopefully this thing gets a little bit of a theatrical release due to the festivals. And what I mean by that is first we're going to submit them into film festivals. Hopefully we can win some, get a little bit of a theatrical release. It's not going to be all over the world. It's not going to be in big AMC theaters, but little bit, little mom and pop theater shops. And then hopefully we can get some distribution with like a Netflix or something of that nature. That would be really, really cool. But it's not going to be on a channel. Although that would be fucking cool, right? Go to USA Network, be like, hey, I got this movie. You want to fucking cut a deal? It's pretty cool, I think. I got a pro wrestling fan base that might come out, that'd be cool. But it's not a channel. This is an actual movie, not a show. But I'll definitely keep you and everyone else updated, Kara, as we go along in the process. Osman, BC, what are your thoughts on the U.S. Championship not being defended at Money in the Bank? Not surprised. I mean, they've kept Intercontinental Championships off pay-per-views before. Tag Team Championships on fucking pre-shows. I mean, what Vince McMahon leaves off the show, I'm not even surprised anymore. Jeff Hardy has a match on SmackDown, and then they don't even fucking put him in there on Money in the Bank. I do expect to see him in some form or way. Maybe by now, by the filming of this video, maybe they even made a match with Jeff Hardy that we don't know about. But I absolutely expect the United States Championship to be, maybe not defended. I expect the United States Champion to be involved at Money in the Bank, at the very least. But to answer your question, I'm not surprised. That's Vince McMahon at his finest. Championships are secondary to Vince. Justin, BC, if you had to choose between the Attitude Era or the Ruthless Aggression Era, which era do you like better? Which would you choose and why? This is a no-brainer for me. This is the Attitude Era. And I choose this because that was the most fun time to be a pro wrestling fan. Some of my best memories is from when I was a kid in the 80s and getting to watch Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker when he first debuted, Ric Flair when he first came from WCW, Mr. Perfect, Big Boss Man, Tito Santana, fucking Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, Virgil, IRS, Earthquake, Tugboat, Bad News Brown, Demolition, The Rockers, Oriental Express. I can keep going and going and going, guys. That was my era, the 80s era. So what I wouldn't give to get that era back, man, that's the era I truly love. But between the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression, Attitude Era, because it was the most fun. Anything could happen. And again, I was a teenager at that point, so like, you're a little rebellious. Me, I was a lot rebellious. So when I can watch the sport that I love, and there's a guy now chugging beers and beating the fuck out of his boss and anyone that steps in front of him, that was my shit. I didn't want to watch The Simpsons. I didn't want to watch some other hour-long, I didn't want to watch Law & Order, SVU, or if whatever the fuck. My show was WWE back then. Raw is War in the War Zone. Remember the music? The intro leading into the show? It was so fucking demonic and just heavy-hitting guitar riffs. And it was just badass, man. You knew that it was going to be a wild 2 hours. Because back then it was 2 hours. Anything could happen, and usually it did. And again, the main eventers were larger-than-life superstars. The storylines were epic. Goosebumps, man. That was such a fun time. The 80s, the fucking Attitude Era. Ruthless Aggression is where it actually started to get watered down. You got the talent like the Batistas, the John Cenas, the Randy Ortons. We got to see Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit up on the WWE stage, Chris Jericho. But it's when it started to get watered down. And ever since year 2000-ish, pro wrestling has never quite gotten to where it was back in those late 90s. That's a lot of years that went by that WWE has never captured that lightning in that bottle again. So a long time has come by. As a WWE fan, especially, not just a pro wrestling fan, I really do hope that sometime soon we can catch another era that captivates us. Because as a pro wrestling fan for 30 plus years, man, that's what I'm truly waiting for. This video went really long, guys. I believe over an hour long, I want to say, or at least around that. So I'm going to cut it here. Thank you for all the awesome questions. I apologize for those questions I could not get to. So many to talk about. And you guys know that once I start talking about these questions, man, we're going to rock and roll every which way. I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow, man. My throat is already starting to get destroyed again for this video, man. Here I come off of a concert with Journey and Def Leppard at Madison Square Garden, New York City. I lose my voice. I come back 24 hours later and I do an hour-plus video. That's how much I got the love and respect for you guys, man. I thank you for showing it back to me. Much love and respect always. I hope to make the video tomorrow. Amplified booking for Money in the Bank. I'm going to book the entire card and let you know, you guys, how I would book it. Hopefully I have that video up tomorrow. If that video doesn't come out, that means my voice is literally shot, guys, because I have a couple of things to do later today as well. That's going to involve my voice. So, again, making this video, I'm going to hope to get this in, man. Amplified booking is a fun video that I do, and Money in the Bank is one of my favorite pay-per-views. I want to mix the two together and give you guys an awesome video tomorrow. If you don't see it, it means BC done lost the old fucking vocal range again. But I hope to have that for you guys tomorrow. As I said a million times, I'll say it again. Much love and respect. You don't forget me. I won't forget you. The Amplified Man's cashing the fuck out. For now, check you.